I am Sergeant Russell Wyrick, Weirich. I'm with the Tactical Investigations Command and the Child Exploitation Unit with the Austin Police Department. In September of 24, the Austin Police Department received several reports of an individual identified as Jack Bullington, 19, had posted explicit images of known juvenile females on social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. The faces of the victims had been cropped into images of female nude bodies. The explicit photographs were altered by artificial intelligence in a pornographic manner so that the photographs were recognized as real people who were younger than 18 years of age. During this investigation, it was discovered that there had already been 3 cyber tips generated by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children on this case. The Austin Police Department Child Exploitation Unit executed a search warrant on the X account associated with Jack Bullington. The findings from these warrants revealed that Mr. Bullington knowingly possessed and distributed graphic visual material on the X platform for public viewing. It was determined that he had obtained photographs of the victims from a variety of social media sites and platforms when the victims were younger than 18 years of age, which he then shared on X with another individual located overseas. Mr. Bullington requested that these images be altered to create pornographic images and content and agreed to provide financial compensation for the modifications once completed. As a result of the investigation, the Child Exploitation Unit has identified 11 victims who at the time the images were created were juveniles. After staffing this investigation with the Travis County District Attorney's Office, 10 charges have been filed against Mr. Bullington for possession and promotion of lewd visual material depicting a child, 1 charge of possession of child pornography, and 1 charge of promotion of child pornography. 6 of these charges have already been indicted by a Travis County grand jury. More charges are pending as additional victims are identified. The Austin Police Department Child Exploitation Unit wants this to serve as a deterrent to anyone considering generating this type of sexual abuse material. The images created in this fashion are illegal, and the actions taken create trauma and embarrassment for the victims. I would like to thank the APD Tactical Investigations Victim Services, Liliana Iguia and Christma Garcia, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the Travis County District Attorney's Office for their assistance in this case. And I'm going to let Ms. Jen Newman from NCMEC come up and say a few words.
My name is Jennifer Newman. I'm an executive director at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Good morning. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, also known as NCMEC, is a nonprofit organization created in 1984 by child advocates with the purpose to help find missing children, fight child sexual exploitation, and prevent child victimization. While our headquarters are located in Alexandria, Virginia, NCMEC is proud to have one of its 3 field offices operating here in Austin, Texas. Since 2009, the Texas office has brought the programs, services, and resources of NCMEC here to Texas and the Southeast region. NCMEC's largest program of work in the fight against child sexual exploitation is the Cyber Tip Line, an online mechanism for the public and electronic service providers to report suspected child sexual exploitation. Every day, NCMEC receives a constant flow of horrific child sexual abuse and exploitative material into the Cyber Tip Line. Once received, we review and assess that information, add value to the report, and refer it out to the appropriate law enforcement agency. Last year alone, we received more than 20 million of these Cyber Tip Line reports that resolved both domestically and internationally. In Texas alone, there were over 74,000 Cyber Tip Line reports referred to Texas law enforcement in 2024. At NCMEC, we've spent more than 4 decades fighting to protect children online. Today, we're facing a new and deeply disturbing threat, the production of child sexual abuse material through generative AI technologies. While AI can be useful, many widely available generative AI tools can be weaponized to harm children. In 2024 alone, NCMEC saw a 1,300% increase in Cyber Tip Line reports that involve generative AI technology, going from 4,700 reports in 2023 to over 67,000 reports last year. We are seeing offenders manipulating existing child sexual abuse material to depict even more abuse. We are seeing offenders asking how they can avoid detection or become more successful in targeting children. We are seeing offenders create fully synthetic imagery of child sexual abuse by entering text prompts and details to create that image. And we are seeing offenders take everyday imagery, completely innocent images and videos of real, actual children, and engineering those files to depict that child in a sexually exploitative or abusive scenario. A scenario that never happened, but one that is incredibly destructive and harmful to that child. It's important for families to know about online crimes against children and have frequent conversations with their kids about what they should do if they end up in this situation. We know it's scary, and we want you to know you're not alone. NCMEC has free resources available for help on our website at necmec.org. In addition, NCMEC is proud to offer our service called Take It Down, which is an anonymous platform which kids can use to help take down their nude or sexually exploitative imagery that may be online. Perhaps your picture that you sent to someone is being threatened to be posted. Maybe a generative AI photo of you is posted. Even if you're unsure whether that image has been shared, we want to help and try to remove it, and this service can help. The process is simple. You visit necmec.takeitdown.org to get started. The program works on public and unencrypted platforms who've agreed to participate, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snap, and many others. Take It Down is a great tool, but you should always report these incidents to NCMEC Cyber Tip Line. Those reports are made available to law enforcement, and we at NCMEC can offer additional services and support for the children and families impacted by these events. We commend the Austin Police Department for this investigation, for all their hard work over the past years on Cyber Tip Line reports, and for prioritizing child safety, including this new harm of generative AI child sexual abuse.
Yeah, I'll take a few questions.
You said 11 juvenile victims. Are there more victims though that aren't necessarily juvenile?
No, all the images that we are filing charges on are when the people were juveniles.
What type of punishment could you be looking at for these charges?
We are at a punishment range for between a first and second degree felony on those.
Would you say this is something that parents should be concerned about?
Absolutely. I think it's a lot of what we deal with at the Child Exploitation Unit has to do with things that have happened on social media, things that have happened like this, where somebody sends an image to somebody thinking it's innocent enough or private enough, and then it ends up getting exploited either for money or they tell them it's going to go on social media platforms or that sort of thing. The best advice that I can give parents is, first of all, know what's in your kid's phone, know what they're doing, be able to check your kid's phone, have the passwords and that sort of thing. The reality is many times the kids don't know how to overcome these obstacles once they've happened, and it's too late right then. So they something happens to them, and then they get a little deep in deep water, and then they don't know what to do, and then it's happened over and over and over again. And then sometimes they've already sent money, sometimes they've already done other things, they've sent more images or whatever it is. And so then they finally get to that point. I mean, this has even caused suicides, so, be able to tell your parents and talk to your parents, and parents, please be able to talk to your kids about these sort of things so you can have an open conversation if something goes terribly wrong like it did in this case.
AI can look so real. How do y'all detect these types of things?
It's very difficult for us as well. We have tools that, obviously I can't talk completely about, but we do have tools that we use to identify them. NCMEC is a very good partner with that. Some of them are fairly obvious. A lot of times when we have a victim, once we interview them, said, I was never in this scenario. This has never been me. I sent this specific image on Snapchat, but it was doing this, and they have the original image or whatever it was. So there's various means that we use, but it is very difficult, and it's getting increasingly difficult to tell. But the victims are what really tell the tale because they can tell you exactly where they were and when.
Do the victims come to you first and then you investigate? How does
Yes,
that work?
yes. Well, our stuff comes in two ways. We either get victims that report crimes to 911 or 311. We have an officer that goes out, takes a report, and then it comes to the Child Exploitation Unit. Or the lion's share of what we do at the Child Exploitation Unit comes from NCMEC. They send out cyber tips, and they are the clearinghouse for everything child pornography or child sexual abuse material. Social media platforms and the like are required to send them suspected images of child pornography. Once they get them, they send them through the Attorney General's office to them, and we are members of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force of South Texas, and then so we get those reports from the Attorney General's office, and then from then we investigate them, and we run anywhere between 300 and 600 cyber tips a year.
Did you say this suspect knew these victims?
Many of them he did.
Let's just put a scenario out there. The parents might be thinking this. If my child is walking down the street, should they be concerned that something like this could even happen just in a scenario like that?
I would say that the bounds of a criminal mind are endless. So any picture that somebody can get off of social media, they can alter in AI, no matter where they get it.
You probably already answered this, but if your child is exploited in any way, including AI, are there any resources you recommend for parents to help get it back?
Yes, so the Austin Police Department has a victim services unit that works with many of our other units, sex crimes, child abuse, and that sort of thing throughout the department. We work very closely in the child exploitation unit with our victim services. They do a great job. They're always there for our victims, and they have a lot of resources that they give. And it's a very heavy lift that we don't have to do as far as dealing with victims, and they do that for us, and it's very much appreciated. And I'll get back to Jen for a second about what resources NCMEC has.
Yes, prevention and response is a critical priority for us at NCMEC. So we offer many resources for parents, for teachers, for educators, for really anyone who has access to help children and talk to kids. The program is called netsmarts.org. All of our resources are free. It's everything from for the young kids, it's kind of cartoon and kind of fun interactive games. For the older kids, it's going to be more watching a video and then having a discussion with those teens about what they would do in that scenario. In terms of prevention and talking to your kids, that communication is such a key part of this, and really opening that door and having these discussions early and often with your kids is really the biggest tool in the toolbox when we talk about online child sexual exploitation. Also making sure that your kids know that you're a safe space to come to, that you're not going to respond with anger or be overly upset, that they are turning to you because they're upset. And so it's also about educating adults too, to say, hey, how can I be a better adult to receive this information if my child comes to me? Also at NCMEC, if there is imagery out there, in addition to the Take It Down, we do offer other resources to help stop the proliferation of those images. So there are other ways we can connect with those companies to help get content down, certainly making a report to the cyber tip line, and then obviously the Take It Down is a great resource as well. But we understand when we see these cyber tip line reports come in from the children, very often it's so focused on just getting that imagery down. So we've instituted a lot of help that way for both the kids and the parents. Locally here too, there's a child advocacy center called the Center for Child Protection. They're a great on-site resource for families who may be experiencing an incident like this. So always encourage you to reach out to them as well. They're a great organization and partner of NCMEC, and they do great work hands-on here locally.
This AI thing, right, with child pornography, is it fairly new, or like when did this start me to think.
Whenever you first started hearing about AI, it's when this started. In two legislatures ago, because this was becoming such a problem, they started dealing with it. In fact, in the federal legislature 2 sessions ago, they also did some other legislation that dealt with it federally and on the state level. Well, federally, and then recently, a couple legislative sessions ago, the state did some as well. So there were laws on the books there, but it didn't specifically address AI, and those had to be tweaked to include AI, and they did that, and it's been a blessing for us because there was a lot of this stuff going on that wasn't technically illegal. It was really in poor taste, and it was terrible for the victims, but we weren't able to do a whole lot. So now that legislation is in place, and it's been in place a while, we've seen, like Jen had said, we've seen a large uptick in that since 2023. And so we dealt with it the best we could until, now we're really starting to get traction on some of this legislation that we've been able to use. And it really helps our victims, and gives them some respite in what they're able to do and start healing and getting over that trauma.